Another concept that matches with the dragon and some of the early linked in our tradition manuscripts talk about this. So we have our tribunes, so we divide the body, our target, into four blocks. Some books, the SS, they keep fighting with this stupid thing. So uh, for some people, the midline of the body will be closer to the navel, others will be closer to the belly button, others will be as high as the, the chest line, middle line. For others, they will even subdivide other parts of the body, like the head face into another four quadrants. The quadrants is something that will follow fencing forever, including now, in Olympic fencing. Originally, they will divide the body in different zones too. It is not meant to be anatomically correct, it's just basically openings. Since your sword cannot be in two places at the same time, if my body is divided in four, I'm here, that means this lower right quadrant will be protected somehow. The immediately adjacent quadrants will be the exissima or the diametrally opposed one will be not covered basically at all. So, so we can also talk about like how strong our cover is depending on where our sword is. If the sword is pointing at the opponent or is on offline. This is really subjective because opening a line can be a bite and there can be like a fencing plan behind that. So going back to those four quadrants or blocks of the body, we got link or lenke for left, right for right, we got over and under, and we have the middle one. So the early Lichtenauer tradition, they created this kind of like a algorithm to deal with certain situations in when the swords clash or we're in proximity of doing that. It's also seen kind of mentioned on the Italian sources, but it's not as specifically treated like the Germans do. So they talk about the winden. Winden is like a winding motion. It's basically a rotation por volte de la espada. And when we wind, we're trying to gain an advantageous position, covering with our sword and also threatening if we can, and keeping the opponent's sword on the other side of ours. So we usually have two winding motions. depending on how strong or weak the, the contact with the swords is, um, that's, and that evaluation of the strength from a sword to the other, and that transmission of energy, they call it feeling or feeling, basically. So each quadrant basically have two flavors of the same thing, but they're depending on which side of the sword you are, or which quadrant you are, and where your opponent is in relation to your sword, and how strong it is or how advantageous is your position in terms of levering and ranging your sword. You can produce two motions, circular, mostly conical, around the blade, and visually it usually seems like your reference point is your own point of the sword. So we got two for each block. We have 4 openings or blocks. We got 8 possible windows, which are basically the same motion, different places. The masters on the general tradition, they tell us we can match these 3 modalities of injuring, basically, with each of the 8 wind and motion on the sword of the vine, or and the action of encrochar, the encounter of the blades. And this gives you a really nice, if you have 3 wounds, you got 8 possible windings on your 4 quadrants. You got how much? 24. 24 possible combinations. And they describe it like that. So this was like really important for them. As long as you understood what the injuring actions are, or the wounding actions, which are the targets, you have the same targets as your opponent, and how the winding or that mesa volta